You are listening to the 501st Cast, the official podcast of the 501st Legion. Stay tuned to global news from the front lines of the Empire as the men and women of Vader's Fist celebrate decades of promoting Star Wars, honing the art of costumes and props, and contributing to the community through charity and volunteer work.
Give me regular reports, please. Right.
And here are your hosts. Take it away, troopers.
Copy that.
Welcome to the 501st Cast, the official podcast of the 501st Legion, Vader's Fist. So suit up and crank that comm link to 11 because it's time to deploy. My name is Anthony Pizzuto, SL22381 of the Northeast Remnant Garrison, and today I'm joined by...
Mike Hinton, TK5351 from Garrison, Carida.
Chris Nitro, TR82065 from the Northeast Remnant Garrison.
Mikey Bouchereau, TB60614 from the Bluegrass Garrison.
The latest reports from the Imperial Security Bureau confirm that as of May 17th, 2026, 13,142 active troopers now stand in our ranks, an increase of 122, or 0.94% for you quants out there, since our April update. And across the galaxy, we now command 34,520 approved costumes. Now for your tactical highlights from across the Empire. The skies remain busy this cycle as 51 new TIE pilots have joined the ranks, proving once again that Imperial air superiority is alive, well, and screaming through the void in a twin-ion engine. Command also reports 47 new Imperial officers, which means more clipboards, more polished boots, and absolutely no reduction in paperwork. On the front lines, 28 new stormtroopers have been approved for duty, while the galaxy's more colorful corners welcomed 26 new denizens and 22 new bounty hunters, because apparently nothing says order in the galaxy like a few more heavily armed professionals with questionable allegiances. From a percentage standpoint, Mandalorian warriors saw a 2.3% increase, though that only translates to just about 6 new members. Still, 6 Mandalorians is nothing to sneeze at. That's at least 12 blasters, several jetpacks, and one very complicated helmet policy. But in a stunning turn of events, snowtroopers saw a 13.39% decline with a loss of 141 snowies. Now, we're not saying something happened on Hoth, but we were pretty sure the odds were in our favor this time. We'll need to follow up with whoever was in charge of that sector and find out exactly how that much cold weather gear went missing. Even with the snowtrooper setback, the Empire still posted a net gain of 155 approved costumes overall, marking a 0.5% improvement month over month. So despite a few frozen transmissions from the Outer Rim, the Legion continues to grow. As always, stay vigilant, stay committed, and carry out your orders with precision. More news after this.
Hey, this is Adam Bentley, TI 73277 from the Bluegrass Garrison, and you're listening to the 501st Cast.
All right, time for the recent news. Star Wars Month kicked off with May the 4th, Revenge of the 5th, 6th, and May 14th, the Maker's birthday, and various anniversary release dates for a lot of the films. Star Wars Celebration LA tickets went on sale. I know we talked about it last episode. I know I personally had a fun experience with that little running man that you talked about last time, Chris. What did you guys think about that?
First of all, did all of us get tickets?
Yes.
I had to buy tickets for each day individually. I couldn't get a 4-day pass, but I got my tickets on, but I will be there.
And how did you get them? Did you have to have a friend get them for you? Because I had a friend, Chris's wife, get them for me. And then I was able to get in, and then I bought them for somebody else. It was like this weird chain of like craziness occurring out there.
Yeah, I had a friend get them for me too, but I'm like you guys. I had to get every single day. Someone looked like Mr. T, with all the different. I know that's a very old reference.
Well, I'm very excited about the individuals because I've always loved the artwork on all the badges.
Right.
And, I think this is the first one where I haven't had a 4-day badge, so I'm okay with like having extra ones because I like the artwork. I've kept them all. So while it was a little bit more expensive, I know they sell the badges afterwards as art, so I'm like, it's okay. It was like that $70 difference, of not the end of the world, but I do have them. I'm excited. But I know I had multiple people in line with me to get them, and I was the person who got through first on my cell phone. I'm like, okay, how many? What's the order that I'm placing for everyone? So we definitely got in. I was a little stressed there.
Going back to answer your question now, the tension was very high that day, right? As we've all just explained what happened, right? People were getting in, there were text chains happening. I tried to set up a group in the garrison of like, hey, just like, oh, let's all look out for each other and like whatever the case may be, which I think was a great thing to get all our loved ones and all our friends to go with us, because I think that's one of the highlights of my going to celebrations is being in a different place in the world with all of my garrison mates, right? And then also meeting and seeing all of my friends from across the world at the nexus of all things Star Wars and all things Star Wars to come. So that I think that's what it was. It's just like the frustration, and I know a lot of people didn't get tickets, and so that's really unfortunate that the scalper meter is very high on this one. Lots of people are calling out Reed Pop and whatnot, and rightfully so, I think, but
20 tickets,
I'm happy.
20 tickets is a lot, for each thing. I think that's even if you did groups, I still think 20 is kind of high.
It's I mean, I would counter that with, like, if I had to buy 4 individual passes for each of my family members, I'm already towards the max, right?
Well,
like,
no, it was 20 per each category. It was like 20
Right.
VIP, 20 4-day, 20 like each one of those. Like that's a little high. I mean, I think 20 if you have to buy 20 like for like a group of like 5 or 6 people and you do individual, that's fine. But I'm thinking like being able to buy 20 VIP, 20, 4-day, I think that's a little excessive.
I think VIP was limited to 2, so I'm gonna retract my statement regardless, right? But it still was extremely high. I definitely agree with you on that. But I think in our circles, or from what I know, people were buying the max. They were just saying like, hey, I can scoop up X number for a specific person, right? Not to resell later,
right?
And that's where I think everyone really went sour on this one particularly. Nothing new, right? I think it's happened in the past. This has just been, it's back in the United States, and I think that it's the 50th. It's the 50th. A lot of people wanted to go to it. Some were convenient for a lot of Americans, at least. So it's just, there was a lot riding on this one, and I think the frustration levels are really high. But I'm very happy to hear that at least the 4 of us are going. We'll hear from Matt if he's going to be able to attend, and maybe we can have a live recording next year.
Yeah,
that would be fun. I will say, I know for a fact that the garrison commander of Neon City, the Vegas garrison, he was in and out of the line in like 15 minutes because he texted me while I was still in line. He's like, hey, did you get yours? I'm like, no. And 3 hours later, I finally texted him, like, finally got my tickets, but he was in and out within 15 minutes. So I feel server location and location to it may have helped him a little bit, but regardless, I'm happy that, many, many people I know got them. I do know quite a few people also didn't get them, but at the same time, it's going to be a great way for us all to connect with our Legion family across the world, especially in California. So I'm super excited for that.
Yep. And I think this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. A very big good luck to all, and I said this before, to all the SoCal Garrison people and all the surrounding Garrison people that are going to help. And I know they're going to come up with a fantastic costuming area for all the groups, especially the 501st, because we lead the way. So best of luck to you guys. You don't need it. I know what's going to happen. I was in Anaheim the last time around. It was amazing, and you've already set the bar high for yourself. So we'll see what you got in store for us next year.
Now, who's traveling with costumes here? Is everyone
maybe?
It's depending on what costume. I have multiple costumes, but I for Anaheim I flew with my scout, so I'll definitely might do an officer, something a little bit. I don't know. Well, I'll be there with a costume. What costume? That's up in the air. Maybe I'll have something new by then also.
Yeah, I'm debating on what to bring, and because I only have a TK, and there's really, you can only make that so small. So might have to mail it piece by piece to I'm gonna wear my Nitro chest armor.
Yes.
That works too. All right, more after this.
Trooper of the Month interview.
Thanks, guys. And we are here talking to our Trooper of the Month, Eric TK14056 from the Florida Garrison. So welcome, Eric.
Thank you for having me.
And we're also here with Mushu, who is TK82500, also from the Florida Garrison, who nominated him. So welcome, Mushu. Good to have you with us as well.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So we didn't get a chance to read the nomination, so we're going to do that now, and just so you can see all the awesome stuff that Eric did, and then we're going to talk to him and Mushu about Eric winning the award. So Mushu wrote, "It is with great pride that I nominate Eric Elg, TK14056, for Trooper of the Month for recognition of his exceptional service, leadership, and unwavering dedication to the 501st Legion and the Florida Garrison." And I'm throwing this in there. This is exactly what we want from our Imperials in general, especially Imperial citizens. So Eric has logged over 550 troops. That's an impressive number, which is a testament to not only his commitment, but also his consistent presence in supporting events across not only the state, but the Southeast region. His service record reflects a trooper who shows up time and time again, bringing professionalism, positivity, and genuine passion for our mission. Before serving as the Florida Executive Officer, Eric distinguished himself as a squad leader of Everglades Squad, where he demonstrated strong leadership, mentorship, and an ability to bring people together. His leadership style fosters inclusion and camaraderie, all qualities that have continued to define his work at the garrison level. Eric's dedication to giving back is at the heart of everything he does. He has a deep and personal commitment to charitable work, especially his ongoing support and love for Give Kids the World. Whether it's bringing smiles to families or helping create unforgettable moments, Eric embodies the Legion's mission of bad guys doing good. A highly accomplished costumer, Eric has built an impressive roster of 12, let me read that, 12 approved costumes, showcasing both his passion for the hobby and his dedication to accuracy and craftsmanship. Even more impressive is that he has trooped with every squad in the Florida Garrison, strengthening unity across the entire state and building connections that make the garrison stronger as a whole. Eric has turned his passion into a family affair, recruiting his wife and more recently his father into the ranks. I give you a little golf clap right there for applause. As executive officer, Eric has proven to be truly invaluable to the Florida Garrison. His leadership, reliability, and willingness to support others at every level make him a cornerstone of the unit. He leads by example, inspires those around him, and consistently goes above and beyond in service to both the Legion and the community. For his outstanding contributions, tireless service, and embodiment of the Legion's core values, I wholeheartedly recommend Eric Elg, TK14056, for Trooper of the Month. Signed off for the Empire. And for his impressive service, he won Trooper of the Month. So, again, congratulations, Eric.
Thank you very much.
And so, how do you and Mushu know each other? And both of you guys can just jump in here whenever you have something to say.
Sure. I first met Mushu at Give Kids the World, which he actually mentioned in his nomination. I was a new trooper at the time, but I was not there in a 501st capacity. I was there with my brother and my family at the time. For the listeners who don't know, Give Kids the World is a charity based in Orlando, Florida, and they are, without exaggeration, kind of a village inside of Orlando, specifically built to service children battling chronic illnesses and their families. And they service them by giving them a free place to stay, getting them free tickets to Universal and Disney World, which aligns very closely with the spirit and mission of the Legion, which is to spread that joy and positivity in populations that need it most. And that's exactly what the Legion did and was doing, and that's kind of how I came to met Mushu. It was through a visit that they were doing at Give Kids the World while my family and I were there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you, just to play on what Eric said, if you think about Give Kids the World is a sister organization to the Make-A-Wish organization. On site, they have carnival rides and aquatics and horseback riding and a meet and greet. We as the Legion actually do several events a month there, between character breakfasts and Halloween parties, and we do a ton of Make-A-Wishes on site. So that's, like Eric said, that's where we actually met. Not to continue the chain of praise for Eric, but I saw something special in Eric even at that point. He's extremely organized, and him and his family really had a passion for this as Star Wars, and I was truly impressed at that point. So, but yeah.
And when did you join the Legion, Eric?
I joined August 17th, 2018.
He knows it down to the day.
Now, I have to jump in with a question. So, like, how did you become aware of the Legion?
Sure. So, my father, brother, and I have a tradition that whenever we can, we go to Star Wars Celebration each year. And it was at my first celebration. It was Los Angeles, 2007. I forget what number that was. When I first remember, and at the time I didn't know it, but I remember interacting with the 501st at Celebration, and I just was absolutely enamored with the costumes. I think I was about 8 years old at the time, and it made me believe that Star Wars was real in a way that only a child's imagination could permit. And it was at future celebrations when I was older that I properly learned just who these costumers were, the 501st. And finally, at Celebration Orlando 2017, I visited the Legion's room at the convention, talked about joining, and then that same day went off to the Anovos booth, who were running a special on their TK kits, placed an order, and then a year and a half later received the kit. And I built it within a span of 2 weeks. It was during summer. I was a college student at the time, so I was kind of off from courses, and I was pulling all-nighters, like dremeling at 5 a.m. on my parents' back porch, probably to the chagrin of my neighbors, getting this TK put together. And at the end of those 2 weeks, applied and officially joined.
Awesome.
That's impressive. Now, why did you pick the TK? Was it just because Anovos had the deal going on, or was there any other reason?
I think it was, pretty much the typical reasons you hear. It's an iconic character. I am very much a fan of, I guess until recently, the kind of masked anonymity of it. As a person in quote unquote real life, I'm pretty introverted, reserved, but when I have a bucket on, all of that goes away. And so that's something that drew me to the Stormtrooper, its iconic status. And then, yes, as you mentioned, probably the convenience of being able to pick one up at Celebration. Because at that point I had a kind of a fire under my seat. That was also a couple years after my brother had been visited by the Legion while he was undergoing cancer treatment in the hospital. And 2017 was the first celebration after that point where I had the opportunity to join the Legion. So really it wasn't Celebration that pushed me to join. It was being there with my brother when a Stormtrooper walked into the room that was like, okay, I'm not just a fan anymore. I need to get involved with this.
Which other costumes have you built? Because you got 12 of them. All right, better question. Which costumes don't you have? I think that might be a shorter list.
Oh, I consider myself kind of, and I'm not just truly not trying to sound humble, I consider myself kind of an intermediate member, at least in Florida, in terms of the number of costumes I have. We have Mr. BJ Savage, who's in the Jacksonville area, Squad 7, who has over 60 approved costumes.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, a lot of
He is our walking CRL.
But to
now I
answer
feel
your
really
question,
inadequate. I thought inadequate with you, Eric. Now I feel really inadequate. Okay. Continue though.
Now you know in my world. But to answer your question, I started out with the Stormtrooper from ANH. Next, I built the ROTJ Royal Guard, the ROTJ Scout Trooper, ROTJ Boba Fett, Imperial Bridge Crew / TIE Reserve combo. After that, the full TIE pilot from the original trilogy, the Imperial Gunner, ANH Tusken Raider, the Imperial Security Bureau after that, specifically the non-saga version, Shore Trooper Squad Leader from Rogue One, the Imperial Security Officer, also non-saga, that's the black uniform. And then my most recent one, which was actually a gift from a fellow member leaving Florida who moved to Ireland. He couldn't take it with him, so he very graciously gifted me his Kashyyyk 41st Elite Corps officer from Battlefront 2. It's one of those clone scouts in camouflage, basically.
Oh, that's awesome.
Do you have a favorite among those?
Oh, it's like asking me to choose a favorite child. But if I had to, yes, Mushu's correct. It would be Boba Fett. That's what I've put the most time, resource, and I can say it aloud because my wife's upstairs, but money into.
He's the baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy too.
Boba Fett still gets all the looks. That's a hard one to beat.
Right. And I think, as I was alluding to what I was saying earlier, Boba Fett in the original trilogy, for me, was the zenith of being this cool guy in the room that didn't need to say anything. Mm-hmm. And with my personality aforementioned, it just was a seamless fit. Like, I can just stand there and quote unquote look cool. I don't have to say anything or be outgoing. The armor does it for me.
Nice.
So which leadership positions have you held in the 501st? Mushu mentioned the thing about being the XO and with being squad leader. So there's two of them.
Yes, sir. I was Everglades squad leader starting in 2020. The Legion year, as you guys know, started in February. A month later, that's exactly when the pandemic began. And so I was squad leader for a month, and then everything shut down. So I had to kind of reinvent the wheel, get people engaged virtually, virtual armor parties. We even did virtual troops in Florida. But then I continued in that role for 4 years after, until 2024, at which point Mushu asked if I would help out in the Garrison XO role, and that's what I've been doing. This is my third year doing that. And in any given year, across the span of, I guess, 7, I've always felt that it's a superb way to give back to the Legion that's given me so much. I felt indebted to the Legion since the day I've joined. Primarily, it all goes back to that hospital visit with my brother. So leadership for me is just my way of giving back to an organization that's given me so much.
And I think sense of humor goes in there too, because for those of you who are just listening, on Eric's screen, well, Mushu has the Florida CO, and then Eric has just Mushu's personal assistant. So that says something right there. And for those of you who are watching on the video, I'm in the outer rim region, so the video is not going through the holonet right now.
Right. Now, so were you surprised with the nomination?
I was. So I remember it being a Tuesday. I'm a 4th grade school teacher, and in my building, I don't even have cell reception. I kind of work in a rural area. So, but when I go outside and start walking in my car, that's when my phone blows up with all the notifications I've missed. And one of them was an email notifying me of a new post in, I don't know the subform off the top of my head, but basically the subform where that is posted. And that was the first I heard of it. So yes, I was very surprised, and it's an incredible honor. I think Scott Moss out of the Bloodfin Garrison put it best when he said it's, an incredible honor, but the best kind of accolades are those that we get from the people we troop for. Mm-hmm. And I feel that everything I've been doing is just like I said earlier, just giving back to the Legion. I don't necessarily feel that I've gone above and beyond in any capacity, but it's still an amazing honor, and I'm very appreciative of it.
That's exactly why you deserve it, Eric.
Yeah, I say that to every trooper of the month because that's why you deserve it. Because you not only help all of those people with children and all the people we do, but you're an inspiration to those troopers who maybe feel like, they're just it's busy that week or they don't want to troop. It just gives that inspiration to all of us need inspiration too, and so we're proud of you. I'm sorry, Mushu, I didn't mean to talk over you. Go ahead.
No. You're echoing what I would have said, and just to play off of that, and I know COs out there all across the globe will hear this and tell their XOs the same. The Garrison doesn't move without you, and I consult Eric almost every day. I literally rely on him for pretty much 99% of the stuff. I check in with him. I like I said, I consult him on almost everything. Because when I don't, I'm wrong. It is almost a marriage. He yells at me almost more than my wife does. So
almost.
But no, Eric and I are a great team. I would not want anybody else in the position. He has been a great friend, and literally I would give him this award 100 times over. So
now Eric, you met. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Matt.
So Eric, you mentioned before about the accolades from the people you troop for. Do you have a favorite troop? And I'm asking another one about most memorable troop too. So those might not always be the same thing, but favorite and most memorable. Because it's only 550 you got to choose from, so it should be pretty easy.
569.
I know most memorable
as of last night. Favorite and most memorable. Starting with most memorable. Well, most memorable. I did think about this beforehand, and I'll try and summarize as best I can. There was a troop in summer of 2025, and we visited a young man who I'll refer to as John, name change for confidentiality, and he was being treated at the Garrison Children's Hospital, and he was terminally ill. And I remember getting the call. I was actually on a boat with my dad. We were just cruising around Sarasota area, for those of you who are familiar. And it was a nurse from that hospital asking me if we could do anything on short notice that weekend. And so immediately from this pontoon boat, I pulled out my phone and I posted it on our event system and started reaching out to people in the area. And we put something together. Now, this young man was 18, and I remember I signed up in my Stormtrooper armor. And we got 8 other members to do it. We all bought or brought Lego sets for him because that was one of his favorite activities to do, according to his nursing staff. And yet the reason this visit stands out to me is not because of the usual benevolent feelings that I think we all understand and experience when we do these hospital visits, which was, of course, implicable in the situation. But what makes it so memorable is I actually kind of had this uneasy feeling about this particular visit. For one, it was suggested by John's nurses and not necessarily something that he himself had requested. And second, and I'm trying to think how to articulate this, him being 18 and him not having requested it, there's sometimes, my concern was that subtextually it could be kind of awkward because there's something of a stereotype when characters come to visit you in the hospital and he's old enough to kind of understand his own situation. But, I would do it 100 times over. Despite that, that gave me no hesitation or pause about doing it. I was just concerned that we wouldn't be able to do enough for him. So we went ahead with the visit, and everything went well. His reaction was kind of muted. He was an enigma. He was hard to read. But we wrapped up our visit. We had a cart full of Lego sets. And it was a week later that one of our troopers, who actually happened to go to EMS paramedic school with one of his nurses, put in our group chat for the event that he had spoken to that nurse. And the nurse informed us that because of our visit, John, who had given up on treatment, he didn't want to continue. He wanted to go peacefully at his own time. And I'm sorry, I might get a little choked up. Had decided that we had shown them that there was something in life worth living, and that he wanted to continue his treatment because of the kindness and of that we showed him. And it was a month later, we actually did one of our routine visits at that hospital. Coincidentally, we actually happened to visit him again, and he was doing quite well. This was a month after his prognosis. And as far as I know, he is still battling his condition. So that's easily my most memorable troop.
That sums up what you've done for years, for probably more than you know. So that's why we appreciate.
Yeah, I've never been happier to have video difficulties at this moment right now. So
absolutely.
Yeah. I've always said to new members and to just members of the public, we don't for a minute claim or think that we treat the actual illnesses when we do these hospital visits. We're not a magic cure, but I think we treat something that's equally important, and that's their spirits, their morale. And when we visit, having had a brother who went through it, I can't say exactly what it's like, but having witnessed it, there's two battles. There's the battle of the actual condition, but there's also the battle of the mind. And being confined to a drab hospital environment for weeks on end, having to endure uncomfortable or even sometimes painful procedures and treatments, and your only levity or escape from that is sometimes a 5 to 10 minute visit from a stormtrooper. So that's why I do it. That's why I have 569 troops. It's not so I have bragging rights or anything. So that's what keeps me going.
Have you ever seen the movie Patch Adams with Robin Williams? It was came out late 90s, I want to say, early 2000s, but it hits exactly on that premise of
100%.
That it's more than there's treating the disease or whatever is wrong with the person, and then there is caring for the individual. And what we not too many of us are actual doctors, so we can't really treat the disease or what's wrong, but we can help to in the process of caring for the individuals. And they're well, again, I'm not a medical personnel, so I can't say they're equally important, but they're both important. How about that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think all of us have said it one way or another that if we can take your mind off of something, like Eric said, for 5-10 minutes, it's just such a huge impact, and that it just can mean the world. So we just had a little girl, we just posted that hopefully she remembers us for the rest of her life, and I know we will. So, but that was great, Eric.
Yeah. Well, I have a slightly lighter question for you. Since you are a 4th grade teacher, have you ever, if so, how many times have you worn your costume to school?
So, believe it or not, and this is, despite my best efforts,
570 times.
No, actually only once. The school I work at, most of the students are not necessarily fans. Some of them actually have never even seen the movies.
Okay.
I work in a town called Immokalee, Florida. It's kind of in the middle of Florida, almost surrounded entirely by the Everglades. It's a kind of a migrant farming community. And so the students I teach aren't necessarily as versed in pop culture, but I did wear it once. I actually coordinated it with my assistant principal, who at the time was, if not a fan, at least familiar enough with Star Wars to entertain it. And I took my scout trooper for a pep rally that we were having right before state testing. None of the students recognized it or knew what I was. They referred to me as the robot. And I just went from classroom to classroom and visited. And they said, look, it's a robot. Let me take photos. And some of them made sound effects, beep, boop, you know.
Well, you tried. Okay.
Yeah.
I teach middle school, so I have a few more fans in mind. So, but I'm always curious when I meet teachers, like how many times they've done it. So here's another question about another troop. So we have, Memorable, which is an awesome troop, but I want to think of, do you have a lighthearted moment or something? It could even be like a costume malfunction, or it could be just something that happened after event, something that just shows that you're just like the rest of us troopers some days too. Did you have a piece of armor fall off, or a lighthearted moment while you were trooping?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I can tell you about last night. I did a Weird Al concert in Estero, Florida. It's like near Fort Myers, and I was in my TK, and this particular venue, they actually kind of built the stage. It's a hockey arena normally. So as a result, the stage was above the floor level. So you had to go upstairs. There were about 9 stairs, and they were pretty steep stairs. So I'm going up in my TK, and I have a thigh garter system, which a lot of stormtroopers use. It's like a belt around your midsection, and then you have 2 loops that snap in the top of your thigh pieces to hold everything up. And I'm going up the stairs, and I hear a pop, and my left thigh, as I was getting on the stage with Weird Al, came undone from the thigh garter system. So I get to my position on stage, and I have never experienced such anxiety being in front of almost 7,000 people and not being able to fiddle with my left thigh to try and get it reattached. Because I can't tell what it looks like. I don't know if my thigh's twisted and completely turned around, or if it's just completely fallen down and is resting on my calf or shin armor. So I just have to stand there at attention with my E11. And thankfully, and as you probably would have guessed, I asked our handlers as soon as I got off stage, could you see anything? Did you notice? Was it like this big wardrobe malfunction? And to my relief, they said, no, I didn't even notice. The snap strap didn't come out. It wasn't, the thigh stayed where it should have been. So
that's awesome. I had a shoulder belt come unsnapped. So I stood in a Weird Al with like a chicken arm for like the second half of the song. So I appreciate that story.
Yeah, I didn't move as much because of it.
Yeah. Well, depending on the leg, that knee piece can hold that up if it falls on the right spot.
Yeah, the sniper. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many times the sniper plate will actually make you trip, and this time it helped it out.
It could have helped you out, yeah, depending on the like. So now, does your tote just have 500 and some hash marks on it? I'm curious what your with all your troops. Do you have a tradition after every troop? Like, is there a
That's a good question. I probably should, but no, I'm sorry to say I don't really have any physical representation of it. The Florida Garrison has, and shout out to our webmaster Matt Drennan and Stu Ellerbush, they have created a system, we refer to it as the Troop Tracker, where we sign up for events. It has all kinds of cool features that, for the sake of brevity, I won't get into. But one of the things, as you'd imagine by the name, is that it tracks our troops. So it itemizes every single troop we've ever done, and it tallies it up, counts it for you. It categorizes the troops in terms of like hospital visits, school visits, library visits, museums, etc. So that's how I keep track of the troops. I don't have like tally marks anywhere. And I don't really have a post-troop tradition either. I think a lot of garrisons, we go out to get a meal afterwards with our fellow troopers. It's great for squad or garrison culture. It's also just plainly said a good time. So, no, nothing beyond that.
Being in Florida, I'm sure part of your post-troop tradition is getting a shower as soon as possible.
Ice water.
Yeah, we all have deodorant in our bins. I think that's pretty typical everywhere. But we also carry with us gallon buckets filled with Dawn dish soap and water.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's inspiring to troopers, because talking to you and all the troops you've done, what I like to tell troopers is, like, you don't have to be a 500 troop person, which is great, but you just start with that one troop, and you take where some of us all that have been trooping a while. There are times in your life where you can troop every weekend, and there are times in your life when you're hoping you can get your one troop in for the year. And I feel like, at least the members I've met, I really never feel any judgment towards members that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I concur. I mean, not only life circumstances, but also just personal interest too, kind of dictate how often one might troop. And I know many troopers who their primary passion is fabricating and building the costumes, and they assemble either a vast inventory for themselves, or they do it to help other troopers, but they might only have 1 or 2 troops a year. And that is a perfectly valid way to go about being a Legion member. And then there are other Legion members who are very heavy into the merchandise collecting, the coins, the patches, and they only prefer to troop, once or twice a year to keep their active membership. But that is the beautiful thing about the Legion and about Star Wars in general, is I've always used the analogy, it's like a buffet. You take what you like, you leave what you don't, and everyone is still has that unity. All people are part of that buffet.
Absolutely. Eric, we're very fortunate here in the state of Florida too. We have opportunities every weekend, every week, and like Eric said, you have your ability to select what you kind of like to do, whether it's conventions or hospitals or birthday parties, which we don't do a lot of, but I mean, you can pick and choose what you want to do. So,
Eric, do you have any words of wisdom or advice you'd want to give to other troopers? I know you've given a lot already.
I would say show kindness to prospective members, your fellow members, and everyone that you interact with at a troop. Whether it's messaging with a prospective member to help them navigate the Legion's web of various forms, or gifting a challenge coin to a newly approved member, or helping a fellow stormtrooper connect their cod strap. The future vitality of the Legion relies on us maintaining, or when necessary, reestablishing the Legion's reputation as a community built on compassion as much as it is on Star Wars.
I like it.
Yeah. So I have a question for both of you guys. When it just comes to interacting, because you finish up your question with interacting with new members and stuff like that. What's the secret or the way you speak to non-members? Because I know, like, it's a little easier now because it's, there's more out there. But, you're a teacher, and teachers can be the most wonderful people in the world. But my coworkers, up until I showed up at some events, they looked at me like there was something a little wrong with me. So how do both of you explain to the common person what you do, both in costuming and in charity? I'll let Mushu go first, because we're gonna we'll let Troop of the Month do. But how do you your friends who are just like normally, hey, they're going out fishing and they don't know anything you do, and then they come in your house and they see Grievous standing in the corner.
Well, it's it's kind of fun. I like to tell people I'm part of the world's largest nerd conglomerate. We're the world's largest Make-A-Wish endowment. We're the people that dress up and make people smile. I mean, it's one of those things that, if you like or love Star Wars, you can dip your toe in the water, or you can go 70 fathoms deep. I mean, it's just that simple. I keep looking up at him because, he keeps staring down at me, but yeah, it's really the simplest thing to say is, Star Wars is a huge part of mine and my wife's life. And, it always has been. And, the easiest, most relevant thing that I always say is I love giving back to our community, and Star Wars gives me that opportunity. And that's just that simple.
What do you think, Eric? How do you explain yourself to the normal folk?
I have two versions. I have a version for people who are being polite and just entertaining me and listening to me. And then I have a version for people who are genuinely interested. And I like to think that metaphorically resembles that meme of the guy standing in front of the whiteboard with all the strings and sticky notes on it. So version one is, I think it's easiest to show, don't tell. So I even say explicitly, it's easier if I just show you. So I take out my phone and I show them some of my favorite troop photos. I have an album that's easy to get to, so that I think are most representative of what it is we do. And sometimes I'll give commentary if, explain the context and such. Then version B is more like an elevator pitch where I go into, the 501st Legion is a 501c nonprofit social club founded in 1997 by Alvin Johnson with about 14,000 active members worldwide in 70 countries and counting. We specialize in costuming and representing the antagonist and morally gray characters in Star Wars, and we use those costumes to attend a variety of community events such as hospital, school, museum, library visits to make people happy.
I like that. I might have to steal some of that.
Yeah.
I neglected to tell you all that Eric has a nickname here in the Florida Garrison. It's ER1C. So he is our internal protocol droid.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's just, I'm just always curious because you're so successful at this and you've done so much charity work. And again, outside looking in, I've been going to comic book conventions since the 80s, but I have a lot of friends that don't even know anything about that stuff. So when you talk to them, they look at you. Like I said, you have to pull out your phone. I had a boss that somewhat made fun of me for years until we did an event at a library in our district. And they had to make him leave because he kept getting pictures with us, because they were closing down. So, Matt, you got anything else for these gentlemen?
No, we've greatly appreciate your time, guys. And again, Eric, congratulations. Mushu, thank you for your great work too. That your name has popped up again and again on some of these awards as well. Yeah. So, but we'll call this interview quits and go back to the rest of the guys. Oh,
well, Mike, wait a minute. Before we go back, we got one more question for him because we always asked everyone this: where can people find you when Troops coming up? Like if troopers want to troop with a Trooper of the Month, or do you either of you guys have troops coming up? I mean, I'm sure you have like 6 coming up, but what's a troop that maybe some troopers in the area might inspire them to come troop with Trooper of the Month?
And this is airing on June 5th, so it'll have to be airing after that, unless everyone has like a DeLorean they can go back in time for.
Yes.
Well, in early July, I believe it's the weekend of the 12th. I will be in Miami Beach at Florida SuperCon along with most of Everglades Squad. It's kind of our largest event of the year. We go out in our convention space But the great thing about the Florida Garrison 2, that troop tracker I was mentioning earlier in the episode, is that if you navigate to any person's profile, you can actually see all of their upcoming events and where they're going and what they're going to be at. And that troop tracker is open not only to the Legion members in Florida, but also people visiting from out of state. So anyone can request access and be a part of that. And our sister clubs as well, Rebel Legion, Mandalorian Mercs, Droid Builders, the Dark Empire, Saber Guild. So that would probably be the best way to keep track of not only where I'm at, but all of our troopers.
Well, we know you come across as an awesomely modest person, but you are famous, and some people, I'm hoping you will inspire some people to troop some more. How about you, Mushu?
Well, like Eric said, the troop tracker is open and available, but I think July 4th we'll be at the Celebration Parade, which is Celebration Orlando. It's the planned community that Disney built. Early in the morning, we do a large parade through the streets of Celebration. So I think that's the next one closest. We've got a ton before that and a ton after that, but that'll be a nice one.
Well, thanks again, guys. And sorry, Matt, I didn't want to stop you, but you can send us back to the guys in the studio.
If I could just add one more thing before we cut to, I would like to just recognize you, Mike, Matt, Mikey, Anthony, if I'm not mistaken, and help me out if I'm missing anyone else. Nitro. Because you guys, I was saying it before we started recording, you put in so much work on a monthly basis, getting together the show notes, aligning everyone's schedules to be conducive to recording the 501st cast. And I think it gives all the members, I know it gives me a sense of belonging to something larger than myself. And I love playing the 501st cast at armor parties on a Bluetooth speaker so our prospective members can get a sense of that community. So thank you for what you guys do. I know it's not easy as volunteers.
Yeah, well, absolutely. You guys are amazing.
Well, we have that on recording. I'm like put that as like my voicemail now.
And listen, anytime you want to come up, we will gladly try to make our schedule for anyone that wants to come on. So
listen, we're just honored to be on with the rock stars. That's all we
I might show that to my students tomorrow.
So with that, I don't think we're going to get too much more praise before we end it. So back to you guys with the rest of the podcast.
Thanks for that report, Matt. On to our next segment after this.
Hi there, troopers. This is SL 4600, commanding officer of the Dutch Garrison. You're listening to the 501st cast.
So now we're on our honorary member segment. On April 25th, 2026, David Foreman, the actor who portrayed Pedron Gall, also known as Red 5, in Rogue One, was also a stunt performer in Rogue One, The Last Jedi, and Andor, and additionally was a creature and droid puppeteer in Solo, was inducted as an honorary member by SL 56757, TK 92440, ID 7738, and TS 2235, as well as other members of Central Garrison, Wampa Hunter Squad, at Imagicon in Minot, North Dakota. Wampa Hunter Squad had reached out to Mr. Foreman's management team, but the message didn't reach Mr. Foreman himself about the induction. When the squad members showed up to his table, his face lit up to excitement, and he exclaimed, "Had I known, I would have worn my uniform." Mr. Foreman was very appreciative and genuinely touched by the induction. Afterwards, Mr. Foreman was seen showing off his plaque and certificate to other actors near his booth. Excellent job, Wampa Hunter Squad, and thank you, SL 56757, for the report.
And we have
before you go to the next segment, if people remember who Red 5 becomes, that is the infamous Luke Skywalker. So Mr. Pedron Gall had to sacrifice himself in order for Luke Skywalker to get a place on the team as Red 5.
Can you imagine if there was no X-Wing spots available for Luke and he gets all over there? Like the movie would just end right there. No one destroyed Dust. And you know what? The Empire would win, and we bring peace and order to the rest of the galaxy. You know that's probably what would have happened.
I could imagine that. You didn't make the team, kid. Bye.
Sorry. Well, because doesn't that happen in all the militaries? They bring in some kid from the country and they just give him a fighter because the guy before him.
He's a farm boy. Like, why not? Let's just put him in, an expensive fighter. And
he's on a John Deere. He can.
It's like his T-16 back home.
Right. All right, so we do have another honorary member. On May 3rd, 2026, Robert Ems, the actor who played Supervisor Lonnie Jung in both seasons of Andor, was inducted by ID 19128 and other members of the French garrison at the 27th edition of Generations Star Wars and Science Fiction in Coussay, France. The members had a great setup in the con with replica of the Emperor's throne where Mr. Ems was sitting when they presented him with his plaque and certificate, and was surprised and grateful for the presentation. Well done, French Garrison, and thank you to TA 60185 for that report. I do have a question about honorary members, because I have had some people ask, and I know there's a big write-up in the forums, and I guess there's probably one in Discord too. But if members, do you guys have any advice for people that want to possibly start the nomination process for an honorary member?
First and foremost, you need to go and make sure that they're not actually already an honorary member, right? Because we have a very long list of honorary members, or friends of the Legion for the matter. But like you said, Mike, all of that is spelled out on the forums, the main Legion forums, of the process of where to look, who to inform. You should notify the commanding officer of the local unit at a minimum, because someplace may be able to be coordinated and whatnot. There are some rules behind it too. As an example, there are no posthumous honorary members at all. Like, that just doesn't happen. That's just a thing we have across the Legion. So all the rules are spelled out. Main Legion boards, you can go there. There's a committee that reviews the requests to do the induction. And I think that's pretty much it, altogether, without going line by line what it is. But it's all spelled out there, and that's where all members should go if they're looking to do the thing.
And I'll put a link in the notes on the show. But I did have someone ask. I do have a question for us. Since we're the 501st cast, maybe we should look at a Star Wars podcaster that has been doing it for a while. Because there's some bigger podcasters out there that might not be a bad idea for us.
Interesting. Again, there's rules out there.
I know. No, I know. I read through the rules a couple times. Because actually, when I saw this one, I know you're not allowed to surprise people. So when they do hear now this was a surprise due to a clerical error, but
right.
I know you're not allowed to, hey, let's surprise them, But anyway, that's my 2 cents for the honorary member. It's just always exciting to see it. It seems like every honorary member that I've either been part of or saw they're so excited. Like I think, I don't think we've ever had any non-excited ones.
Yeah, only one thing about the rule I will just say is there is a rule they can't be under the age of 18, just like our club rule.
Right.
So, obviously, there's lots of people who have been in the series and animation and the films and everything, and they're under 18. We just can't make them an honorary member until after they're 18.
Hey, this is Hank Miller III, DZ12779 from the Great Lakes Garrison. You're listening to the 501st cast.
It brings us to the topic of the day.
All right, folks. If you recall from our last episode, we asked a question for the topic of the day, and that question was in Shakespearean format, which was to amplify or not amplify. That is the question, right? And before we get into our thoughts here on the show, we did get an email from TK71924, and he writes, "Greetings. One, I would say that is Shakespeare, but little did he know that he would be using Yoda as a Star Wars. Yoda as a source as Star Wars was a long time ago. I tell people this all the time. Star Wars is a documentary. It happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away." Back to TK71924's email. That said, I think it all depends on the costume itself. Some are better when the individual speaks and some when they are silent. We have a Praetorian Guard who is 6'7" and doesn't speak, and it makes it so much more interesting. But then I know from most of mine, you've heard from them, meaning those characters speak, and people are often shocked that we can talk. So it really depends on the costume itself. Sincerely, TK71924. Thanks for writing in. And I'm going to go first on this one. So I agree with them. It really depends on the costume, right? I have, my main costume is a Royal Guard. Don't say a word, right? So that's canon. They do not speak at all in anything, except for the comics, which they talk to each other. But in the films, they do not speak, and they're kind of ominous and kind of stoic when they just stand there securing the doors, miserably, just standing by a door all day long. But it also adds to surprising people. So that's why I don't have any of that when I'm wearing my Royal Guard. In other costumes, I think it's super appropriate. It just adds to that a little bit. I'll pass it off to our resident raspy breather, Mr. AP. Tell us how a Vader would be without amplification. What do you think would happen there?
You know what's interesting? And I think this happens more often than not. When I speak, people are surprised that I actually do speak. Like, they're not expecting me to speak, which is strange because Vader speaks. And so I don't know if they're just used to old Disney. They're just pre. They weren't allowed to speak or whatever. But yeah, so when I speak, it surprises people most of the time. But yeah, it depends on the costume. Vader, you have to speak. You have to interact. It's part of the voice is just as much as part of the costume as the helmet is, or the breathing is. The breathing is so important. So yeah, you have to amplify, and you have to use the right processor. My setup is I have a Zoom multi-stomp pedal going into a air, which is but the Vader because it's huge. Like I have a gigantic fanny pack side. I think you've helped me get suited up a couple of times, Nitro. But it has a lot of great volume that comes out of it, and it has an onboard amplifier too. And I have a tenor voice, and so when I'm in the bucket, I do lower my voice, but then I also let the Zoom stomp pedal do a lot of the work too. But it's great, and people are surprised
of that lower voice.
Yes, I can talk. So I'll talk like this, or I'll try to get out in the lower register. You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take them away. But and that's a little bit kind of over the top. But then when it goes through the processor, it adds the mechanics to it. It adds the the synthesification to it, if that's a word, to make it even sound more robotic. Yeah, and it sounds way better. That sounded really there. It sounds better when you have the bucket on. Self happening in the bucket. So, what about you, Mike?
I love. Wait, was it Mike or Mikey? I didn't even hear it. Sorry.
I said Mike. Mikey. I know.
Oh,
there's
okay,
too many Mike or Mikey.
I always, if I'm in my scout, I always have my mic. But if I'm in my Biff, I don't talk at all. I just play through my little clue horn, and I have that. I actually have those Cantina Band songs on loop through the horn and the speaker there. But I think I personally feel, depending on the character, kind of like what you said, Chris, it definitely makes a difference. Your normal TKs, your scouts, any character that was talking on a radio, I definitely think should have it, and I think it makes a big difference, especially when people are they freak out a little bit when you talk, because then they instantly are like, oh my gosh, you're real. But yeah, for me, I personally am a huge fan with my scout having it on. I get to hide the speaker right in my little front pouch, so it makes it really easy. It's all run behind, and it comes coming from me. Plus, I also like to talk. I could just get out there and call and goof off with people. And I think we talked a little bit about May the 4th, but I did a theater troupe, community theater, outdoor theater troupe for May the 4th, and it was so fun. Just people walking up, and we were out there outside, and walking around the theater before, but as people was like, hey, I bet you this guy likes Star Wars, just like calling through him as a scout, and just like they're like, oh yeah, and they're like, oh, you guys never hit anything. I'm like, oh, I hit trees all the time. Like just the jokes and the banter, and people just love it. They're surprised by it. And so I definitely think it adds a whole nother level. And just like you, I use an Anchor speaker because I think it works. It's easy, and never had problems with it.
It's a workhorse. Yep.
So, Mike, sorry if I cut you off. I didn't mean
no,
to.
That's all right. Yeah, I think my second thing I bought for my TK was the thing that puts static burst I bought this back in 2007. ROM FX. Have you ever seen the ROM FX board?
Yep.
It's and I love it. It puts the static burst in. I wind up burning through mics because it gets so wet in my helmet, like the little tiny mics. They just so I have to have like multiple mics, swapping out. So I find a good mic that can withstand my very sweaty face. But yeah, I like it. I had one time where a kid just had me. He was calling numbers and making me leave stuff on people's messages with that static burst. And I just like try to make a monotone voice, and the kid was laughing because he had to hold the speaker down near my side because that's where my Acre, I have like an Acre light that's under my ab plate. I have a video when I first started trooping. They weren't as strict about stuff, so I had it all hanging on my belt. Like I had the Acre, a white. Yep. I don't think it was an Acre. I forget what brand it was. It literally is hanging like a belt strap with a big speaker on your side. And then I think the other bad part about having amps sometimes is I had a guy hit me in the back of the head getting a picture, and it twisted my helmet. And I taped the microphone to my face. Before I didn't, and it wound up shoving the microphone halfway up my nose.
Oh no!
So I would have to. So I literally would have to blow out of one nose hole loud to get that static burst until I could get to a handler to get my bucket, get my taken care of. But I definitely would say amping. It's same with like a Vader with a voice changer and the breathing. Nothing gets better than that. That's when my girls were Jawas, they wore amplifying. They were called mini balls. Did you ever see them? It looks like a black speaker. They would hang them around their neck.
Okay.
And then they would have a iPod shuffle with just Jawa noises, and they wear it on their hand like Spider-Man, and they could just hit a button to get the Jawa sounds. So even when they couldn't speak, I made sure they could speak. So
that's interesting you bring that up. I was going to ask, does anyone ever use audio loops? I know you use the breathing kind of loop, but does anyone use any other audio loops with like your other characters?
I don't have any other characters that have that capability, but I do know a lot of sand troopers, right? They put stuff in the backpack and it just has the radio chatter just happening all the time in the background. So I think those things are great. Anything to like add to the atmosphere, right? I think is a huge plus. Mike was saying, like a Vader without the voice is like not the same. Yes, it isn't. The Vader itself is very, there's a presence, right? But when you hear Vader coming, because you hear the breath, everyone starts turning their heads. Yep. They're like, what's happening? Like, where's this breathing noise coming from? And they turn around, they see the Vader. It's just so much more impactful.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't mean that someone can't sit there quietly, like a Praetorian Guard, our 6'7" Praetorian Guard, very ominous and stoic and just like, what's going on here? And then it adds to the jump scares, right? Because I know we love doing the jump scares, right? Is that a statue? Well, yes, it is. And right.
Well, and I know some Tuscans use the sound gloves where they have the buttons programmed, but so when I first started trooping, I was taking my daughters with the Galactic Academy. So when I had to make sure everything, and I would say this to anyone trooping, make it as simple or as complicated as you're used to working with. Because if you have amplifiers, that means you got to bring batteries. That means you have to make sure, you have to think of all of that and where you're trooping, who's helping you, because there are sometimes when I've done the Weird Al concerts, I don't put any of my electronics on. I don't want to be the guy whose electronics screws up the whole Weird Al concert, you know. Or if we're doing a long walk and, you know, like they don't need to hear my heavy breathing amplified with static bursts, you know. So
that's cool.
Parades, no microphone because you breathe after 2 miles.
Right.
Yep. All right, Jed. So we really appreciate the round table there, and thank you again, TK71924, for writing in with your thoughts. And we'll take a short break before the next segment.
Mission reports.
All right, moving on to mission reports. On April 19th, 2026, members of the Mayan Garrison returned to Campeche, Mexico for a photo-based fundraiser to help raise money for a child in need of a kidney transplant. The event went perfectly, was a resounding success, and would not have been possible without the support of citizens and coordination of the members of the Garrison. Great job, troopers, and thank you to TI-7565 for the report.
Free Comic Book Day, which is the international day to celebrate comics at your local comic shop, fell on May 2nd this year, and members of the Northeast Remnant Garrison, the best garrison in the galaxy, deployed to several comic shops across the state of New Jersey to help promote Star Wars comics. At a particular event in Eatontown, New Jersey, the members also gathered to celebrate an amazing milestone. TK8869 completed his 501st troop. To add to that momentous occasion, this event was also TK8869's very first troop in New Jersey over 19 years ago. He has been continuously attending this troop every year, with the exception of 2020, since he joined in 2007. I personally want to extend my and the Garrison's gratitude to him for his years of service in many roles, including Garrison Commanding Officer and currently Garrison Event Coordinator. He has opened his home to many members and has hosted a countless number of armor parties during his 19 years in the Legion. TK8869 is a cornerstone to the Northeast Remnant's success, and we owe him a debt of gratitude that we know we can never repay. On behalf of all members in the Legion, we salute you, TK8869. A very big thank you to IC71689 for the report, and I apologize for taking the liberty to add some extra verbiage. And to anyone who is wondering, yes, there were cupcakes.
No cookies for the dark side, just cupcakes.
And
no,
shout out for a 4-digit number too. So
I love it.
And that's not called verbiage; it's called AP.
So, if you recall, during our March episode, we mentioned an initiative with Starlight Children's Foundation that the Legion was partaking in during the month of May. Well, on May the 4th, our beloved Star Wars Day, the Northeast Remnant rose to the occasion and visited a hospital in Summit, New Jersey to help deliver hospital gowns, pajamas, backpacks, and toys on behalf of Starlight. The Garrison also augmented those goodies with activity books and comics to help kids pass the time. TS29192 reports, fellow Legionnaires, this is why we do what we do. We arrived at the hospital around 10 a.m. and were escorted to our changing room. The staff kindly gave us 2 rooms to use for dressing and storage, as well as some refreshments. When we were ready, we were escorted from room to room within the pediatric wing of the hospital's emergency department. In each room, we took pictures with the kids and their families while the staff handed out Star Wars toys donated through Starlight Children's Foundation. After visiting with the children, we made a quick round through the adult wing for a few photographs and spent some time with the nurses, doctors, and other hospital staff taking pictures and brightening days. It's beyond rewarding seeing the smiles brought to the faces of people who are experiencing the worst days. The excitement of the kids, parents, and staff is a great reminder of why I love this club and what we do. I would also like to shout out a new member, BH7623, for his first ever troop with the Legion, and what a first troop to have. Awesome. Great job, troopers, and thanks to TS29192 for the report.
I'd like to jump in and add that BH47623 also attended another troop that evening, right? So I'm extremely happy to have a trooper like that aboard inside the Legion, because to show up to do your first troop in one day and already do a second one in the same day, that's completely amazing. He was a great guy. I was very happy to meet him that day. Looking forward to him to continue trooping. Super nice guy.
And I just wanted to chime in too. I got to Vader this troop with Nitro. at this event, and these hospital events are just so amazing. And I think Hinton, you said this on the when you were interviewing the Trooper of the Month last episode, how you appreciate wearing a bucket sometimes because it can get kind of hard, and that is so true. If you've never done a hospital troop, and we got to do 2 that week, definitely take advantage of it, because you have no idea what joy you can bring, not just to the kids but to the parents that are with those kids. So such a great event, and it was great to participate in.
Always. Well, don't forget, folks, please add your mission reports to the 501st forums. We love to share the amazing things that our garrisons are doing each and every month.
Good day, Galaxy. This is TK2066, serving as Starkiller Garrison of the 501st Legion. You are listening to the 501st Cast.
So upcoming events. May was a month that had a lot of events, and June needs troopers too. So please check your local forums and see all the events that are coming up. I know for myself as a teacher, I tend to help out in the June events because, like, when school's over, I can go to an event during a weekday. So look at your summer schedule, troopers, and see what you can do. Which brings us to our dedication. This episode is dedicated to SL 12862, Hank Humut from the Dutch Garrison, and TR 12928, Robert Myers, North Texas Squad from Star Garrison, and TI 62126, Robert Newell Jr. from the South Texas Squad of Star Garrison. I looked over all of the things from the memorials, and one of the common themes was just what everyone loved these guys and what they did for everyone. So if you get a chance, check out the memorials. Buckets off to all the troopers and their families and friends. We solemnly enter their names into the Hall of Eternal Legionnaires.
This is ID 81117 of the Southern California Garrison, and you're listening to the 501st Cast.
And our shout out today goes to TK71924 for writing in, and everyone who submitted mission reports this month. Thanks a lot, everyone.
We want to hear from you. Send us ideas for topics that you want to hear about, interview suggestions, or even just your well wishes. For now, help us kick off our next episode. Since May the 4th is fresh on our minds, email, call, or message us answering the following question. How do you celebrate May the 4th? Write to us at podcast@501stcast.com. Use country code +1 to leave us a voicemail at 1-551-501-TALK. That's 1-551-501-8255. Message us on Facebook at facebook.com/the501stcast. And all of these can be found at our home on the web, 501stcast.com.
And that wraps up our episode of the 501st Cast. I am Mike Hinton, TK5351 from Garrison, Carida.
I'm Chris Nitro, TR82065 from the Northeast Remnant Garrison.
I'm Mikey Bouchereau, TB60614 from the Bluegrass Garrison.
And I'm Anthony Pizzuto, SL22381 from the Northeast Remnant Garrison. Until next time, keep your armor clean, your blasters charged, and remember, we're the bad guys doing good. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
The 501st Legion is a worldwide Star Wars costuming organization comprised of and operated by Star Wars fans. While we are not sponsored by Lucasfilm Limited, it follows generally accepted ground rules for Star Wars fan groups. Star Wars and its characters, costumes, and all associated items are the intellectual property of Lucasfilm. Copyright and trademark Lucasfilm Limited, all rights reserved, used under authorization.